Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Spectrum Sundays. We're so excited because this month we will start introducing new guest speakers who have experience with autism and also some fellow speech-language pathologists. So today we have Jordan with us, and we'll be focusing a lot on Better Hearing and Speech Month.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for being on with us.
Thank you. So the whole purpose of this is to expand our outreach to professionals within the speech and hearing field so that we can bring together our experiences and our different perspectives of autism and other really hot topics within our field so that we can bring more awareness to all of our communities. So can you give us a brief resume of education in the speech language pathology field and experience as a Miss America title holder?
Yeah, so I got interested in the field of speech-language pathology after working at a nursing home for 6 years. I worked as a dietary aide, so I got to do a lot with diet modification and preparing food for the residents. So that aspect of speech-language pathology that a lot of people don't think about, the eating and the feeding and everything, really interested me. And also I saw how vulnerable the population of the elderly can be and how important communication is for them at the end of their lifespan as well. Specifically people with dementia, they are like the love of my life. So that's where I focus most of my energy and with my social impact initiative. So I went to the University of Pittsburgh for my undergraduate degree. And now I'm at Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland, back home. And I'm getting my master's degree and a certificate in gerontology. So I'm just finished up my first year of graduate school, so I'm going into my third semester. Very excited, and it really has also shaped my social impact initiative and what I've been able to do with that as well.
That's so awesome. I love to hear that different aspect of the speech pathology field. Francesca and I in Spectrum Sundays, we talk a lot about our own social impact, which is for autism awareness and acceptance. So we've really hit on that, and it's nice to hear someone else come in with a new perspective and show what else speech language pathologists do. So that's a big reason we wanted to have you on today, because it's Better Hearing and Speech Month, which is all about raising more awareness about our field, about communication disorders. So we just wanted to ask you, what does better hearing and speech mean to you as an SLP student?
As a speech student, I think it's really broadened my definition of better hearing and speech. I think dementia, kind of like autism, exists on a spectrum. So what communication looks like for one individual can look completely different for somebody else. So better hearing and speech has such an individualized definition depending on who you're working with. So like on one end of the spectrum of both autism and dementia, you can see individuals who could communicate like we're communicating right now, with advanced conversation, quick changing topics, that kind of thing. But then on the other end of the spectrum, communicating and speaking and having them listen and hear might look totally different. For example, communicating through music might be one of the best ways to communicate with those individuals, both with autism and dementia. So as an SLP, or a future SLP, it's shown me how communication looks so different no matter where you are in your lifespan or on the spectrum of any sort of condition or disorder.
That's great. I'm so glad that you're able to share that different delve into the profession. And before we keep going, I don't know that we had a chance to introduce what your title is. So you're a Miss America title holder within Ohio, and what's your title this year?
I'm Miss Capital City, which I'm very excited about. I feel like the title Capital City, just one, sounds super fancy, and two, it kind of encompasses all of Ohio, and you think of Columbus and everything. So I'm very, very happy. And I get to be Miss Capital City for another year, as you guys get to hold your titles for another year.
Right. That was such a special surprise for all of us, and to know that we have even more extended time to promote our social impact initiatives. So that's really neat. So that's actually another question that we have for you. We're experiencing a crazy pandemic that's really disrupted so many people's lives. what advice do you have as an SLP student and also through your social impact initiative for those who have lost their access to services? What can they do at home to continue to practice better hearing and speech and to work on their goals at home?
Yes, so I think as a speech student, for all of us right now, it's an unfortunate situation, but I'm glad we're experiencing this during graduate school, because telepractice is something that I've been doing with my clients for clinical, and it's hard, but I'm glad I get to figure it out right now during graduate school where I can have a supervisor help me out, that kind of thing. So I would encourage other people to take advantage, if they are able to, of telepractice services. Speak with their providers, with their therapists, and figure out what options are available. At the bare minimum, there can be all sorts of caregiver training or environmental changes that can be made in the home to just help support better hearing and speech throughout this very, very difficult time.
Well, thank you for that. And Francesca and I both have had a little bit of experience with telehealth and telepractice therapy services. So it's good to know that if that's available for someone, that they can tap into that. And there's people out there that would like to provide those services, and now they're qualified to do so since they've had a little bit of experience with it.
And I'm also really glad that you brought up the fact that you've been working with your supervisors, not just to, well, I personally have been working with my supervisors, not just to work with clients, but also on my social impact initiative. So it kind of leads me to this question of, how has being an MAO title holder prepared you for a career in speech language pathology? Do you see a lot of overlap with what you do?
Oh, absolutely. The reason I started competing in the Miss America organization was driven by my, love to care for other people, and especially the elderly and people with dementia. So figuring out a platform, is what it was called back when I started, was simple. I mean, I just kind of thought, okay, so this is my career. This is what I'm passionate about. I'm going to live what I love and use it in this organization. So competing in the Miss America organization has definitely helped me just in graduate school and feeling prepared to be a clinician. Public speaking, we're speech pathologists, for goodness sake. That is one of the best skills to have. And really just figuring out your strengths and your areas to improve. That is literally like a section on the paperwork I'd have to turn in after each clinical session to my supervisor, and just kind of seeing like, okay, so I'm good at rapport with the client, but I need to focus on reinforcement schedules, that kind of thing. And just using that lens to study myself is also carrying over into competing and being involved and in my social impact initiative.
That's so great. And we talk a lot about the overlap between our own social impact initiatives and how having this opportunity with Miss America has really amplified what we're able to do. And even as professionals, it's prepared us so much for what we'll end up doing within our careers and our professions. So that really aligns with what we wanted to chat about today. But we also wanted to tie it back in with how Spectrum Sundays, our goal for it is to raise more awareness about autism. And as you have a social impact in kind of a different area of disability, we wanted to see what experiences you may have had as an SLB student or just in your personal experiences with those on the spectrum.
Yes, so actually my best friend, her family lives right around the corner from us. Our families are best friends, mom's best friends, dad's best friends, everything. She has a younger brother with autism. And he is on the high functioning end of the spectrum, what used to be considered Asperger's. So just growing up around him, realizing his struggles throughout life, but also seeing what he's able to do was very inspirational. And of course, as I mentioned before, the geriatric and older population has always been kind of my focus, but I've never closed off that door to working with younger people or people on the spectrum specifically, just seeing what my friend's younger brother has gone through and how maybe as a speech pathologist, I would be able to help people like him. So this past semester was my very first clinical placement with children. And I went in so nervous. I'm like, okay, I love old people. They like get sarcasm. I can like make dry jokes and they'll get them. Kids, I don't know if that's gonna work. So I was super nervous. Articulation has always been like a difficult concept for me to grasp, but I went into it and I had 8 clients and 2 of them were on the spectrum. One was a 3-year-old who was just recently diagnosed and had a lot of sensory issues and sensory disruptions. And the other individual was around 10 years old and more on the high functioning end of the spectrum as well. So working with them definitely opened my eyes to how broad the field of speech pathology can be, and to not be afraid to go in and work with people that maybe you haven't worked with before. It was a fantastic opportunity. And I found out that my sense of humor aligns perfectly with 10-year-old boys on the spectrum. So I left feeling like, whew, all right, this is good. So it was a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. I'm very thankful for it.
I love that. You definitely grow outside of your comfort zone. So I'm so glad to hear that you had that type of experience. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yes.
What do you think is the most important thing to share about the SLP field for anyone who's watching?
I think the most important thing is that the definition is so broad. I'm sure you have covered this, but when people think, or I tell people, okay, so I'm going to school to be, I usually say speech therapist just because to the layperson, speech pathologist is kind of like, what does pathology mean? So I say, I'm going to be a speech therapist. And I say, oh, so you're working with kids who can't say their R's. And I'm like, yes, I did work on one individual who had trouble with R's, but it also is every other aspect of articulation. And then my focus is more on the medical side. So looking at people with traumatic brain injury, TBI is what I just said, but right hemisphere disorder, dementia, stroke, anything like that. And I especially love the feeding aspect of it as well, dysphagia. So an SLP's role in anyone's road to recovery can look so different. So I think my main point for people listening is that an SLP doesn't fit a mold. If there is a mold, there are a lot of them, and we can fill many, many roles.
And I like something that you said earlier too, is that you have to be open-minded to work in this field, because you can really be placed anywhere and really see any type of client. But that is also what makes it fun, is you're always constantly surprised and learning something new.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You're good for it, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, Jordan, thank you so much for sharing all of your insight and your experiences. We want to know how people can follow you on social media and maybe what you're up to this coming week for your social impact initiative.
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram as Miss Capital City 2020, and I have been working on this project. I just opened up an Etsy shop. I'm an avid crocheter. I have all of my yarn in the background there, all messy. I have an Etsy shop at Holy Knit on Etsy, and I am selling my crocheted creations to raise money for the Alzheimer's Association. I have raised almost $500 so far in the past 3 weeks. So I'm hoping to keep that going. And I am hoping to keep posting more about Better Hearing and Speech Month. I love everything Asha is doing, and thank you so much for having me on. This is such an honor. I'm so, so proud of you both for putting this together.
Thank you so much. That means a lot to us, and we're so glad that we could have you on today. Everyone watching, please go give Jordan a follow on Instagram and Facebook. Watch her on her journey to Miss Ohio, and who knows, maybe we'll all be at Miss America together someday, whenever that happens in 2021. So we are excited for everyone to continue following Jordan, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, you guys too.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.